point, how do you make the case that acting against your own impulses, against your own instincts is good? Like, why? That's pretty radical. It's a little more radical, I think, than we appreciate normally.
Absolutely correct. It's totally radical. And so is me getting on a diet. When the doctor says to me, you're getting close to being diabetic, Cliff. Yeah, I got to cut ice cream out. I don't want to do that. But if I want to play with my grandchildren 10 years from now, I better do that.
Yeah.
So I'm free. I'm free to eat ice cream every night, a whole bowl full of it, or a pint of it, whatever. Or I'm free to diet. I'm free to do that in order to play with my grandchildren 10 years from now. Yeah, if I want to get a good education, I've got to discipline myself. And if I want to play basketball at Davidson College, I'm really going to have to discipline myself because I don't have the innate talent to do that. So yeah, if I want to achieve excellence in life, I'm going to have to discipline myself and put myself through some things that I don't naturally want to do. And that's what we call living a wise life of excellence, of using the gifts that God has given me to make a difference in this world for good, of using this incredible body that God has blessed me with to serve God by serving people more effectively, to develop this amazing mind, the most powerful muscle in our body that God has given me, by developing that mind so I can think more clearly and help more people. Two lesbians at Texas State University a few years ago, stepped out of the crowd and said, do you love racists? And I said, absolutely, I love racists. I hate racism, but I love racists. They're human beings created in the image of God. And these two lesbians erupted. You're an idiot. There's no way that you should be loving a racist. And I said, ladies, you're really getting mixed up here. There are some very sinful parts of me. I do not affirm those parts. I hate those parts. But I affirm my value as a human being created in the image of God. I do not affirm racism, but I affirm the fact that those racists are human beings created in the image of God. And I've got some former murderers coming to the church where I pastor. I abhor their murdering a human being, but I still respect them as human beings created in the image of God. I have the greatest respect for President Lincoln. During the Civil War, a minister came up to him and said, Mr. Lincoln, let's pray that God is on our side in this terrible conflict. And Lincoln shot back, oh, no. Let's pray instead that we are on God's side, for God's side is always right. And it's far too easy for me to baptize my views with, oh, this is God's view. I've got to be very suspicious of that. The story, Tucker, that I use a lot is Truth and Reconciliation Commission, after apartheid was being taken apart in South Africa. Officer Vanderwood was at one end of the court, and a black South African woman was at the end of the court. And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission looked into the face of the black South African and said, ma'am, this officer went to your township, arrested your husband, brought him outside the township, partied, and roasted him over a fire till he was burned to death. 1 year later, they did the same thing to your son. Came to your home, arrested your son, took him out to a party outside the town, and burned him to death. Now, what do you want us to do with this white police officer? And this black South African woman said, I got 3 requests. First request is, I want this white police officer to take me to the place where he burned my husband and my son to death so that I can gather up their ashes and give them a proper burial. Second request is, I want this white police officer to come to my township once a month and allow me to mother him, because I got a lot of mothering left in me and he's taken my family away from me. And the third thing is, I want you to allow me to walk across this courtroom now and give him a hug to try and convince him that my forgiveness of him is genuine and real. And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission said, yes, go ahead. This black South African woman stands up, and as she's walking across the courtroom to this man who was responsible for the murder of her husband and son, a person starts singing Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found, was blind, but now I see. I worked in a Lawrence County House of Correction in Lawrence, Massachusetts while I was in seminary. The first visit I would make every Monday night was into the cell of a guy in protective custody who was there for kidnapping little boys, sexually abusing them and murdering them and burying them. And after spending an hour with him, talking with him, reading the Bible, praying with him, I would go to the gymnasium to play basketball. And the other inmates would come up to me and say, hey, man, don't you know what a piece of dirt he is? How dare you spend any time in his cell talking with him? And I said, sirs, I abhor what he did to those boys. But I can promise you, in spite of how he has messed up and defaced the image of God in him, he is still a human being created in the image of God. And I will seek to reach out to him to offer God's grace and forgiveness to one confused, messed up man.
Child molester? Really? Shouldn't there be limits to humanity? Like, at some point, do you lose your humanity?
You deface it.
Yes.
And obviously some of us have defaced it in very, very unusual, grotesque ways. But we all have defaced it to some extent. I have. No, I've never committed the sins that man committed that I would visit every Monday night. But I've lusted. I've been greedy. I've hated. I've had subtle racist attitudes. I've been sexist, chauvinistic in my own unique way, sophisticated way. So I'm not this wonderful person that I wish that everyone would believe that I am. No, Solzhenitsyn was correct. The line separating good from evil runs through every human heart, including this guy's heart. We live in a cancel culture, which means you rub me the wrong way and I cancel you. Well, guess what? Everybody's going to rub me the wrong way at some point.
Yeah.
And if I'm just going to go around canceling people, I'm going to be a very lonely, isolated person. If I don't learn to forgive, I will be alone. Intimacy is based on the ability to forgive and to accept people who are different and who've hurt you.
Yeah. That is such a wise point. You know, if you think you're the only virtuous person in the world,
No
first,
kidding.
you're an idiot, but second, you will have no one at dinner.
Yeah.